I did not do an introduction, so I had to re-record this. In this video, I'm going to do just a real quick update on my 15-month update for my Sisterlocks. I'm going to also talk about some of my most recent milestone and what I feel like my next milestone is for my locks. But the bulk of this video is going to cover some things that I feel like people with fine hair or thin hair, or both, should consider before you get locks or when you have locks that may cause us issues with our hair, or to believe that our hair has issues with locking. And so I have four things that I feel like are just kind of foundational, and then I give some tips on how I believe you can work around them and how you can in the end become the guru of your own hair, right? You can become the master and the authority on your own hair. And so if you're interested in seeing that, well, then stick around to after the introduction. If you have not done so already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. And please leave your comments and questions below, especially if you have some questions that you would like for me to address in a future video. So I will see you after this introduction. And if you're not hanging with us, I guess I'll see you next time. Bye, girl, bye. And for everybody that's sticking with me, let's get to after that introduction. See you in a bit. Freedom Please channel in essenceofme.com. I'm coming to you as I prepare to sit down and write for the day. But I'm having a conversation with someone in the comment section, and I really kind of want to talk about this for a second. So pardon me as I kind of get set up. This is what I got to do. This is my job. But I want to talk about this. I have not done. I'll do this really quick. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that you should consider either before you lock your hair, if you have soft, or if you have fine and or thin natural hair. And I'm going to say this with the caveat that I am not a loctician. However, I am going to say this, that I'm speaking from 10 years of lock experience on my own head. My first set of locks was 8 years. This set of locks has been over 2. I'll do real quick, just y'all, it's not time to do a retie. Y'all, right now I feel like it's more about milestones when it comes to my hair. So the most recent milestone is that I can put it in a ponytail with nothing, without needing bobby pins or any of that stuff. And so that is really, 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 really cool. And you're going to see a little bit of the color, but not much. And honestly, I keep watching other videos and it makes me want to get some real color. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but my daughter is in cosmetology school. She'll be finishing soon. And she's been begging for me to teach her how to retie my hair and to show her how to do it. So we're going to be doing that soon. But she is really good with color. And I'm almost thinking about going there, y'all. My problem is I'm so low maintenance that, so yeah, that's it. This is where I am now. This is the first part of June. So March, April, May. March, April, May. So I'm almost 16 months. Almost 16 months since I started my Sisterlocks. So that's where I am. My next major milestone for me is going to be when I can tie my hair up without a hair tie. And I used to my locks before, like I would just do this and tie them, and I'm almost there. Like I can do it a little bit like this, but I want it to be without pulling so much. So once I do that, y'all, okay, I'm gonna be a mess. I'm gonna be a mess. I mean, I already kind of am, but whatever. Okay. If you have fine or thin hair, I'm not going to say that a million times, but I'm going to just say that now. That's kind of who I'm speaking to when I say this. And honestly, some of these things they're for anybody. Number one, when see, like I got two that fall out, but other than that, like it's like bomb. Okay. We have to remember with fine hair that usually it means that it has a smoother texture, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not coarse, but it just means that things rub off of it easily. So the process of locking your hair, I'm going to turn a little bit because that helps a little bit with the glare. The process of locking your hair essentially is your hair tangling on itself, and that's what causes it to lock. And those tangles and those knots are what results in the locking process. But if we have fine or thin hair, usually that process is a little bit inhibited because of the texture of our hair. And if you add in the fact that maybe you have fine hair and you have a coarse, a looser curl pattern, to me it means that the locking process has just one more barrier that it has to go through. So let me give an example. If you think about the fact that non-black people can lock their hair, Hispanic, white, anybody can lock their hair, but usually because their hair is right, if they have a straight texture, what they usually will do is do a comb back method, right, to induce or to help promote tangling, right? So it's kind of like you think about that. So my thing would be, how can you promote tangling, right? How can you promote tangling in your hair? Sometimes people do like the seesaw method and things like that. I've never done that. But what I think is that what you have to be very careful of is what you put on your hair. So what do you put on your hair? Is your shampoo a moisturizing shampoo? I would suggest cut it out. And if you decide to keep the moisturizer, again, I'm not a loctician, okay? So take this, know your hair, take what you can use, discard what you can't. If you have a moisturizing shampoo, well, then you may need to get rid of it. Of course, you don't want to get rid of it completely if you have scalp issues. But usually if you have scalp issues, you may be using a medicated something or another. But if you're using something like that, it may be that every so many washes, do something that's going to be a little bit drying. Because if it's drying, then it may help with that. It may help to facilitate that tangling process. This also means you need to limit oils and you need to limit conditioners. You need to limit leave-in conditioners. And the limitation really only has to go to the extent of your hair is locked. Now, once your hair is locked, you can use those things, but know that you would still experience what be maybe classified as slippage from the place of where your hair is locked down to the base, because you're using things that are meant to soften the hair, to detangle the hair, and all of those things on someone with fine hair, because you don't have a lot of density, and fine hair because it's thinner strands, right? It's not as dense. And then thin hair because you don't have a lot of hair that you're trying to lock up. Well, then that means that you staying away from those things is helpful. I do believe also that doing interlocking of some method, which Sisterlocks is, it's called their Sisterlock method, but it's a form of interlocking, where it's a facilitation of the locking process, that's going to help. But if you're putting on things in your hair that's going to soften it, then it's almost like you're counteracting something that should help you, and you're taking that thing away. Now, this next thing, so with that, Know your hair. If your hair is fine and or thin, you may want to consider limiting until your hair is locked. Conditioners, leave-ins, moisturizing shampoos. What could you use in place? If you have really dry hair, I would maybe use a moisturizing shampoo, but I would use a moisturizing shampoo before a retie. And what I would do is, if I have to use a moisturizing shampoo, I will wash my hair less frequently, because that means you're the less likely of the making it soft. You see what I'm saying? That's how I would combat it. The other thing is hair wraps, hair ties, banding, braiding, and banding. Okay, I put all those kind of in the same category. These are the things that okay. Wait, actually, I don't put them. I don't put braiding and banding. I'll put that as number 3. Number 2 is tying up your hair. I said this in a video not too long ago. I honestly believe having good hair care practices from my loose natural times made the locking process take longer on these set of locks. And what I mean by that is I wear a slap every single night. If I don't, I'm gonna stop saying every single night because that's a lie. I wear a slap on my hair about 90% of the time when I go to bed. The other 10, I'm still sleeping on a satin pillowcase. That is what I sleep on. That's my pillowcase. So that means it's a slick surface. Now you take a slick surface with somebody already with fine hair. This means I don't get a lot of friction. But friction helps the locking process, right? Like we already talked about, these are tangles. The reason why we like to have the satin is so that our hair won't get tangled, to make the detangling process easier, or to stop breakage. Now we don't want breakage, but I feel like having that on all the time is something that made the locking process take longer. I feel as if this set of locks took a lot longer to lock than my first set of locks, and I really felt like these should have went faster because they're smaller. So it just kind of, and meaning it's being interlocked a lot denser, but it just didn't. And I think it's because of wearing that slap all the time. Now, would I change it? I don't know. I probably would. And maybe just have my satin pillowcase. But having, or maybe even sleeping on cotton like every once in a while to kind of mix it up. But so I say that to say, if you are wrapping it up all the time, in doing with cotton, you got to kind of take it with what comes with it, that a lot of times it can come with lint and all those different things. So what I would say to that is, I would not suggest, if you have issues with locking, having your hair wrapped all the time. And if you do have it wrapped, maybe what you could do is maybe use them satin head wraps and night wraps that you can get from like Sally's and Walmart. They're not real satin. Get some of those, and maybe you wear that on one night and then wear your slap or real satin something on another night, and alternate them like that, and maybe that will help. But I would even say, for a little bit, like, I would just go cotton. I just would, like a regular pillowcase, I would just make sure the pillowcase is clean, that I'm changing out maybe every couple of days, maybe just do it a week, maybe 1 week a month or something, just to test it out. And I would make sure that it's clean and that it's lint free. And even if I had to, I would wash and dry it on its own with no other garments or anything like that. Just only linens, no towels, nothing like that that would be lint attracting is what I would suggest with that. Number 3, the braiding and banding that comes with Sisterlocks. Now, all of these things that I've said before, this can be any type of locks. Any type, because it's the same process, right? Okay, the third thing is braiding and banding. I did not braid and band. When I tried, I did not do a good job. I know that I don't like following directions. I'm trying to get that out of my spirit, but it's what it is. So when it comes to braiding and banding and having fine hair, I think, I can understand why it would be important, especially if you don't know how to retie your hair yourself. So with that said, it may be that if you have issues with slippage, you have issues with if you palm roll or twist your roots, you have issues with it coming undone. If you don't braid and bend, it may be when you sleep, cornrow your hair up. Put them in 2 loose cornrows. Put your head wrap on, right? Or sleep on your satin pillowcase. It may even be that when you get ready to wash, that you do a lot of it outside of the water, so that when you get in the water, that you're not dousing and you're not running through and raking your fingers and all of this stuff, because your hair is going to get very slick. Slick hair means no tangles. We want tangles if you want it to lock. And I really feel like the last thing is that if you do these things and you look at these things until you get fully locked, then you don't have to worry about it as much. But what it would mean on the tail end of this equation is that when you sit down to retie your hair, it's going to take longer. If you let go of all of those things, you go back to using conditioner, you go back to using oil, you go back to using those things. It means that when you get ready to retie your hair, you're going to be a person that instead of going 8 weeks, you may need to go 6, or you may need to go 5, or you may even need to go 4, because you're using those products that's going to naturally soften your hair. The longer you go, that means that loose hair between the locked portion of your hair and the base, it's getting conditioned and it's getting luscious and juicy and soft and flowy, which means it's not going to be locked. I know I'm exaggerating, but you get what I'm saying. So in the end, I think not knowing these things is why we feel like our texture of hair can't lock. Or we know it can eventually, but we get frustrated because if you're paying somebody, let's say like Sisterlock consultants, you pay them by the hour. If every time I go back to you because I have fine hair, I'm having all this slippage and I'm paying you by the hour, that adds up. And if I can't do it myself and I have to go to somebody, that means a lot of the freedom that you get from having Sisterlocks is a loss. It's lost in the sauce, and you're frustrated and you are broke. Okay, you may not be broke, but you get what I'm saying too. If you are not doing Sisterlocks, but you're doing micro locks, or you started with twists, all of those things will still be the same, right? And that's why I really feel like sometimes people don't like interlock, because it may change the appearance of the lock from the twisted place to the interlock. I really feel like interlocks are a great option for people with fine or thin hair, because we usually need help. We need help with that. Even if you have coarse hair, because you don't have a lot of hairs that are kind of in there fighting together, interlocking is going to help us. Look, interlocking is our friend. Okay, so that's it. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, put it in the comment section below. If you have any questions, let me know, because then I'll come on and do this. I didn't do like no whole, y'all don't be giving me no thumbs down because I didn't go all the way around. Y'all seen the back of my head on the last video. It looks the same, promise you. Except I got some hang time. Okay. I do have some hang time. But that's it. So I hope in the end, even with all my jokes and all that stuff, that this is encouraging to you. There is something you can do, and it doesn't mean you got to take your locks out, or it doesn't mean, oh, I can't get locks, or we just got to know we got to take some other steps, and that our hair won't look like everybody else when they take their ponytail out, and it's like, that may not be our testimony, but we could still be cute, and it also means that a little of this, if you learn what works for you, then you can be the authority on your own hair, right? Like that's the goal. Even if you don't do it yourself, be your own authority. Be your own guru of your own hair. Like Chris Rock said, on count of 3, everybody take care of your own damn kids. Take care of your own damn hair. Pardon my French. So how then can you take all of this advice and make it advice and worker for you? Of all those 4 things that I suggested, maybe take one thing and try it for a week. If it usually takes you a little bit longer to see if something works or not, then maybe you need to do it 2 weeks. And worst case scenario, you need to do it for a whole cycle of between reties. So maybe you get a fresh retie, and between the end of this fresh retie and the next retie, maybe for that time you bring down the number of times that you wash your hair, and you maybe only use a moisturizing shampoo once, and maybe you use a clarifying shampoo once, and then you use a moisturized shampoo, right? And see if when you retie, if you have the amount of space that needs to be retied. Because here's the kicker: sometimes we can see that difference and we think that difference is growth, when that difference is slippage, not growth. But the only way you're going to know that is by monitoring. Now, this time of year, I know for me, it would be hard to run a test like that looking purely at the difference. I mean, you may just look at the fact that there are certain locks that just are being at least established a little bit so that they don't come all the way undone. But for me, like this time of the year, really wouldn't be good to do that type of a test looking at purely the distance between the retighten or the locked area and the new growth, because in this time of year my hair grows a lot. That is historically a fact for me and my hair. I know that. And since I know that, it may be I got to look at texture. Is it dry? How does it feel? How long does it take for me to retie my hair? But again, that one may not be what I can use. So does that make sense? So you've got to figure out, okay, here's what I'm testing, here's what happened, and maybe what you can do is add the notes, just a few quick notes in your cell phone, either in a note or on the date of when you did the last retie. So in your calendar, you may put retie test 1, and then in the notes put, I'm going to test for the next 6 weeks or the next 4 weeks of not using a moisturizing shampoo but once, and only shampoo my hair every 2 weeks, that kind of thing. So you'll know what you're testing. And then when you do the next retie, on there and say, okay, I was testing X, Y, and Z. Here's my conclusions. Something like that. And so, yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if this helps you. I'm going to upload this now. This means 2 videos back to back. But y'all know on here, I be asleep. I'm about to say, and I'm trying to stay woke. Okay. So I'm out of here. I need to get to work. I hope that this is helpful, really, guys and gals. And I will talk with you all hopefully sooner than later. Take care and goodbye.